Good evening. You're listening live to the Xtreme Movie Show. I'm your host, Rob, broadcasting to you from the Xtreme Studios in the Pinos Palace, just west of Orlando, Florida. I have the young 20-something Professor Publix with me, as well from the great Midwest. I have RDV, and tonight we are talking about top 10 films from 1988, a year in which saw a lot of firsts and a lot of lats. I believe Robert Heinlein actually passed away there, too. His last book, Job, was published. Gentlemen, you know nothing about it, but at the time, it was quite significant. As the grandfather of science fiction, I was led to believe there'd be more of his great works, but no, we have a year of what I consider fairly dull and safe movies because, RDV, as the guy spearheading the effort of revisiting our 80s catalog here on the Extreme Movie Show, there are a lot of films here that are just kind of okay, which explains why we've got a lot of runner-ups.
A lot of family films.
True. Safe.
Yes, which is nothing wrong with that. Um, but they're not censored films, as you'd say, like today, where like they have to be they really, gee, it's weird because we get in the '90s, they changed the ratings. It starts getting a little more like, well, what used to be rated R is now PG-13. So
Yep.
it's a weird.
If only Aubrey Plaza were in some of these safe movies to make it a bit odd.
Oh my gosh, I love her, man. She's awesome. All right, our going to the runner-ups. Just gonna go right through these guys. These are recommendations. Check them out. These are in the order that they're released, not our fit, not from. So that's only the order then. All right. Never seen this, but it looks like a vampire movie. I'm guessing, but
No, it's
oh,
about drugs. It's about the Tantamacoot in Haiti. It's a Wes Craven film with Bill Paxton in it. This is an underrated film. It's actually kind of cool. It's about people that actually die and come back to life because there are drugs that do that.
Bill
And there's a
Pullman.
whole thing that Wes Craven worked in. Good movie.
You said Bill Paxton. It's Bill Pullman. I think this is in the
Well,
credits.
Bill Pullman, Bill Paxton.
One
Drugs
was the
over, man.
president. One wasn't.
Damn it, you're right.
Yeah, one had an
Underrated
axe.
film. That's why it's on the list.
Yeah,
Great tagline.
above the law.
I'm going to send you to the bank, Professor Pixel, the blood bank. This alone, I think, even if that's from this movie, I don't care. It's Steven Seagal. I will still argue his 3 or 4 film sequence here about this time is tremendous. RTV, I believe we disagree, but we've covered Steven Seagal here on the Extreme Movie Show.
This
Must
was
watch.
this was his first one, right?
I guess. I'm not looking at it. I don't care. But you know what? This is before he became the Steven Seagal that everybody references now, which is, in a word, sad.
Yep. Next one. Dead Heat. We've done
Oh
this.
wow!
Fun
Jack,
movie.
Joe Piscopo, and our hero, Treat Williams, Dead Heat, actually literally die in this movie and are falling apart. Good
Yep.
film. We reviewed it here on the Extreme Movie Show. Check it out.
Yes. Bruce Campbell, Maniac Cop. If you haven't seen this, it is a killer movie and it is fun.
Tom
Yes.
Atkins, he and his mustache, which RD is trying to emulate. I respect you both.
All right. Killer Clowns from Outer Space, which he actually did a watch along party with this, with E over in I Love Comics. It's a one and done film for me. If you've never seen it, you should. If you like cotton candy, you might not like it after this.
If popcorn scares you and things to go bump in the dresser while you're taking a shower, don't see it. Tremendously fun movie, especially for late night. It's a goofy film that should be shown more.
Yes, it should be. And it's MGM production.
Not
All right.
Jamie Curtis production.
We went from Dead Heat to Red Heat.
A Walter Hill film, which
And
means it'll be different. This is not a bad film.
No, no.
It's a different Schwarzenegger film, wouldn't you say?
it's not my favorite, but it's also not my least. But it's one of those oh, it's right, he did that,
Yes.
And
It
it's a
doesn't
weird
fit in with his
combination.
other catalog. You know why?
It does not
Because it's a Walter Hill film.
yes, and because it's Jim Belushi in there, which is
He's
normally
always
not.
good. He actually is.
Yeah. All right. Could not go without mentioning this. Great Outdoors, fantastic film. If you've never seen it, Pixel, you need to watch it. If you haven't seen it,
It's cute. Fun.
it's great. Halloween 4, Return of Michael Myers. 10 years ago, he changed the face of Halloween, and he's still somehow alive after being shot, stabbed, pushed out a window, and run over a car. Probably. This guy is supernatural at this point. There's no way he's still alive.
We're getting a young Danielle Harris being introduced into the franchise. People wanted to come back for the TV show. It's getting ready to get written for it, I believe.
Yep.
They had a shitty thing going on with the mask. That's why it looks like crap in here. But it's really not a bad film for what they're trying to do. At this point, we'll take anything.
Right? They live.
Arguably, I'm mad that this isn't in the top upper echelon of films because this is just phenomenal. Go see it.
If I would have known it would be on your your top 4, your top 3, I would have put it in there.
Okay.
All right. Next one. Well,
This is my movie to be mad about because I wanted this in the top 10, like really, really
At the end
bad.
of the day, it's just a killer doll movie that's kind of cute.
It's
that's really
the
it.
killer doll movie.
No, it's not. That's
It's
magic. There's other ones out there. This just happens to be. This one, when it comes to killer doll films, is on a lower echelon. It's cute and it's amusing. That's about it.
all right.
The disrespect.
I wanted this in the top 10 because it is the only Melanie Griffith movie I can watch other than Milk Money that I like.
This is not a canon film, correct?
This is not a canon film. It's a
Should've been
Ryan
done
film.
better. Yeah, nobody saw this, but it's a goofy film.
And it has is it one of your oh my gosh, one of the actors in here is actually in another movie which it's on our list. But anyway, Scrooge. You got to watch this at least once a year if you haven't, or maybe a couple of years. It's a fun movie. Has a lot of big stars in it, big names in here. Especially one of them who had his own movie called Hot to Trot, which is sadly not in the runner-ups. John Candy was the name of the horse, or the voice of the horse. Anyway, The Naked Gun is our last runner-up for the night. I still haven't seen it. It's on my list of movies to watch. I know Pixel probably hasn't seen it.
Naked Gun, honestly, I could argue is one of the best comedies of all time in the top 10. And I'm not joking when I say that. And I'm not doing my best Leslie Nielsen. This is a phenomenal movie that was just more popular than what people thought. It was off of a failed 6-episode early 80s thing by the Safdie brothers who did Airplane and all that. This is tremendous. It has aged well. The timing, everything is there. It's a great film. This has been higher than They Live for me on my short list of great films.
All I know is that OJ Simpson's in it.
And he's funny in here. This is before the Killings.
Yeah, before he put on the gloves.
You could say he killed it. No.
All right. Our first top 10.
That's the fastest we've ever been through the runner-ups. I think we should do that more often.
Yeah,
it depends.
Well, I'm not old enough to have depends, but our first movie for our top 10 came out on February 12th. RIP to Carl Weathers, but damn good film. I'd say outside of Rocky, this is where you need to go watch him. Other than watching him in Predator, this is his top 3 movies.
Carl Weathers in '88 with that physique and that look, I would take him as a Bond over really anybody they're asking about today. I'm not joking.
Why is he Felix Leiter?
Man, can you see him being Felix Leiter? Give him kind of the training kind of montage. Come on, Bond. All you got to do is get in here. Come on, man. He'd send me through. He'd send me through.
Can you imagine if you would have had Pierce Brosnan or just having Roger Moore or just I would say probably Pierce Brosnan more, and Carl Weathers together as Bond and Felix Leiter and they're both outlaws. They're both on the run.
He likes his ribs barbecued. In case you didn't know.
and his women are hot. Yeah. Yes. All righty. Well, we were kind of not sure what we're gonna do for the second one, but hopefully we were able to get our anxiety down because we were running frantic back in February 26th of 1988.
We covered this film here on the movie show.
I don't care for Roman Polanski, but this is one of those films that you need to watch. That and also Presumed Innocent.
Yeah,
when it comes to Harrison Ford.
Pixel. Is this canon film? No, it's not, because it's got Harrison Ford in it. But have you seen this?
No, I'm not.
You need to start watching Polanski films.
Doctor and his wife go to France for he's going to give this presentation. His wife goes missing. Wake the next morning, doesn't know where he is, and nobody believes him. And he has to basically, and his terrorists want him, they want something into his, and he's trying to figure out what it is. And he's just trying to find his wife and runs into this girl. And it's basically conspiracy theory, and just him trying to survive the night and get his wife back.
I'm trying not to say too much because Pixel hasn't seen it, and it's
I'm just trying to.
Know what's going on. I agree with you. What Polanski can do well is he likes to talk about relationships and how things happen. What would you do if you went to a foreign location and your significant other just wasn't there when you wake up?
And like I
it's,
said,
it's average people, right? It's not superheroes. There's no fist fights or like that. He does such a great job of slowing things down here, and you're like,
yeah,
Harrison Ford, Han Solo, he's the doctor in here. Hell yeah,
it's
this is
Roman.
prepping for the fugitive.
And I did not know this is Roman Polanski's wife, who he married when he was 30 years plus.
Yeah, she played the familiar in The Ninth Gate, also reviewed
Yeah.
here on the Extreme Movie Show.
Yeah. Alrighty, our next one. Well, it came out around same day, and it got a little bit bloody. It's all right. We loved it. I don't know, Pixels hasn't seen this yet.
But you see, there is something in the corner. What is that? Oh, it is a canon classic. Oh, what a surprise.
The
And
real
it's
argument.
Donald Glipser.
Well, I was going to say, RDV, it's amazing because sometimes when we've talked about JCVD movies, even though we've reviewed several of them here on the Extreme Movie Show, we talk about Bloodsport versus Kickboxer. And they're both equally good, even though they kind of seem like they're the same film.
Oh my gosh, I get them confused. This is the Frank Duke story, where the other one is just him and his brother. His brother joins, and then he goes and he joins the
Tong Po one. Yeah.
But he's in and it's the thing. It's like I get John Poe and I get this guy, like the villains. Even the villains kind of looks kind of similar. And as far as like but then I remember this is the jacked up, Asian guy, where the other one just has the other one, you just said his name, looks like he came out of Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, Bolo's legitimately somewhat terrifying in here, even though this, like we said, it's a very wholesome movie, right?
He is the guy that he's a heavy you want in any of his movies. Like I'm not sure if he appeared in Big Trouble in Little China, but he's perfect as the heavy when it comes.
He did more of the international stuff, and he was actually in Enter the Dragon with Bruce Lee in a big fight with him too. Yeah, Bruce is like, no, Bolo's in this. And if Bruce gives you the rub, you got it. No, this is great, really positive kind of superhero, a different thing, different than what Seagal would turn out to be.
Yes. All right, and only the elite warrior get invited to the Kumite.
That's right, Kumite.
Yes. Now everybody knows about this, and man, I would have loved that got the martial arts magazine that came out with this.
Great poster too. This says it all right there.
Yep, this is the poster. All right, our next one. Well, it is well, if you say the name 3 times, it might go away, but it came out March 30th. Beetlejuice.
Not gonna lie, not a big fan of this film. Roast me.
Same here. When it comes to this film, I there's certain things I do like. To me, I just don't care for the family, the whole goth thing. I know it's supposed to be like Tim Burton humor, but yeah. Probably the best was this William or Alec Baldwin?
I don't even know. I don't even care.
Alec Baldwin.
Yeah.
Pixel, you're looking confused.
I mean, I understand where you're coming from because I've seen this movie a couple times.
It's kind of dry.
Well, twice. I can't see it a third time because otherwise he'll appear. But I like it. It's definitely.
You don't sound like it though. That's what I'm trying to understand.
You gotta be in a mood to watch it, I guess. You're saying?
It's a mix for me because there are a lot of good things in it, but I know there are some gaps in there that it's like, okay, you could have cut this part, but Michael Keaton just eats it up. There's a reason why he's so memorable in the role.
Beetlejuice is. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
And I think Alec Baldwin, this might be one of my favorite performances from him.
Yeah, Beetlejuice is kind of like let's take Night Shift, but make it like more cringe. It's like if you gotta watch Night Shift. Night Shift is really good with Michael Keaton there, and this just feels like they're like, oh, you're a great cookie in that. Let's just let you run with that. I'm like too much Keaton. Bring it back. The animation's pretty good in here too. I love the giant city set the guy has in the attic. It's cool. The sandworms. I gotta say though, growing up a kid in the 90s, I like the cartoon better than the movie. The cartoon was much more fun and more laughs.
Beetlejuice was the kind of movie to me that people saw it, but nobody ever went up to somebody and said, "Hey man, did you see that movie Beetlejuice?" Be like, "No, so what's going on, man? I don't know much. Went to movies. Oh, did you see anything? Yeah, I saw Beetlejuice. Okay." I mean, that was really the conversation. For some reason, I don't know why. Maybe because it's Tim Burton type movies, the way a lot of movies are now, especially with Wednesday and all these other films. People just go back and go, and this movie's gotten singled out, and somehow people think it was bigger than what it was. And it wasn't that people didn't see it or it's a horrible film. It's just,
No,
I'm like you, it's a one-off. It's there. There was nothing spectacular or really
It's-
different about it at the time. It's
it's-
just there.
to me, it's like Rocky Horror Picture Show. It's a cult classic. Only because, but Rocky Horror Picture. I don't think it. If I can't speak from memory because I don't remember if it did, but I don't think it was a big success when it came out. Just like this movie was.
That was a big flop, but that was a
Yeah.
cult classic. Beetlejuice is just there.
Yeah. Yeah. I get people like Rocky Horror Picture Show, the same people that like Beetlejuice. It's like a goth cult fanatic. I don't know. Is it just
Goth was around in the 80s, don't get me wrong.
if you love Tim Burton, you're gonna love this movie. That's his style.
I love Tim Burton.
And it's so weird because when we get to our next year, he goes from Beetlejuice to Batman, and I get to understand when people are like, really, this is the guy who's gonna be Batman after seeing this movie. Yeah, I didn't realize it was 88. I thought it was more than 87. That's how I was surprised. Like, wow, is that close to being Batman the next year? But anyway. Getting up to our next movie, this is just a guilty pleasure of mine, and it is also one of the family-friendly movies that Rob was talking about. It came out on May 20th, and both Pixel and Rob hate it. We did a review, but
Self high five. Here, let me give you a virtual one. Bam.
Let's let it already have his moment. Let him turn.
I'm sorry.
Like I said, I love it. It's a fantasy movie, It was a flop when it came out, and it's just kind of one of those movies. It's just we talked about Beetlejuice. It's a cult classic movie. It's grown up. There's a lot of people who like it, and it's not the Mandela effect. It's just that people just like this, like the simple fantasy A to B points here, and Val Kilmer being in this role was new for me because we've seen in Top Gun, seen other movies, Top Secret. Seeing him in this was like, okay, let's let him cook, let's let him do some more things, fantasy stuff. Obviously he met his wife up there who's up on the left. Warwick Davis. Right? Warwick Davis down there being it's more of his movie, because he's called Willow. It's basically about him wanting to get out of his community and wanting to be more. So it's kind of like that. It's one of those family friendly movies where he has there's a few laughs in there. There's the little people, the two little guys in here. I forgot what the guy's name is, but he's a more famous actor. Obviously not because I can't remember his name, but he was a big in the 80s.
That guy.
Yeah, he's that guy.
If Wilford Brimley were in here,
yeah, evil witch.
it'd be better.
Evil queen that wants to be the soul, and she has to kill this baby. The last, or I guess was there I can't remember, was there a granddaughter? It's been a while since I've seen this.
Don't know.
But overall, it's one of those G movies I can sit and watch through. Hey, if people could sit through 3 hours and watch Lord of the Rings, I can manage like an hour and a half from it.
Yeah, I will say this: it's a good-looking film. I agree with you about being family-friendly. And what I want to throw this little dib in there, since this is like '88, arcades pretty much peaked by seriously the early '80s, even though they still had a great deal of time to it. And the first 50-cent video game that I recall here in Central Florida was a game in 1984 in the spring. I'm sorry, '83, called Dragon's Lair, where at Chuck E. Cheese there was a standing room only the day that it debuted, because they had two machines, and so people lined up there and they had queued it up like it was a VIP area, and so it was just amazing. So it was the first time I ever says, "Oh, you have to pay 50 cents for it." That's because Don Bluth of Disney fame and animation fame did the cell work for his company. It looked phenomenal, unlike anything before. And of course, in the mid '80s, a lot of video games started echoing what was out there in pop culture. So you had like your Street Fighter type video games, your side scrollers, your this and that. You started having a few other games, and a few of them were 50 cent here and there. There was a video game I remember, and I remember Willow distinctly as a video game because it was one of the last ones that you looked at and you went, wow, graphically at the time watching it, this video game it was like the film. It looked really, really gorgeous. Now, whether you cared about the game or not, that was it. But I feel like it was one of the last really big crossover type films into arcades with the cross promotion that they really tried going overboard with it. And after that, arcades pretty much were, it's like, how did you go bankrupt? First it went slowly, then it went very quick. Same thing with this. After Willow, arcades were pretty much done. This is the last big push. And I was always curious to go, I wonder if that game is still famous, because you'd always get knockoffs like on the Apple computers or the Commodore 64, which is the real workhorse at the time for video games. And Willow was definitely had legs at the time. People liked Willow. I'm not saying it's bad. It's just not for me. But it did have that kind of impact. It was big that way.
I like the fact that,
but I have to. But Miranda, I'm sorry. Decent fantasy movie. It's the epitome of as a movie, and to say it's better than the Lord of the Rings? Are you kidding?
She's correct, and you
Yes.
should listen to your elders more.
No. This movie.
Willow is better looking because it doesn't
Well,
rely on all that CGI
yes.
crap.
it
and
took
all
them
the-
3 movies for a freaking ring inside a freaking volcano. Okay.
You sit there and you're watching as poor Warwick Davis is trying to carry a movie when it's just not. It's not.
Carry a movie. Val Kilmer was carrying the movie too, bro.
He was okay. Everything in this movie is the epitome of okay.
Still
It's
better
the-
than Lord of the Rings.
You're insane. Insane in the
What's
membrane.
and one thing that's better than Lord of the Rings, besides the length?
You know
I
what?
mean, if you want, the friendship
asking for
between
one.
Frodo and Sam.
What
Get-
about Frodo and Sam?
Their friendship?
What about their friendship is better than what happens here in Willow with a small village?
This when you
I'm listening.
if you want to go ahead and you have Sam who is trying to support his friend who has a terrible burden that he has to carry across for 3 films. For 3 films, he has to carry this ring that's trying to corrupt his soul. And he goes ahead and in that last one, when he has to literally carry him up the mountain, he gives the inspirational speech in the second one
Oh
when
my gosh.
Frodo can't see the light at the end of the tunnel, but he's saying, we gotta keep going, gotta keep pressing. And oh my gosh,
In
Samwise
10 hours of
Gamgee
film time, Willow
better
got it
written
done in under
character
2.
than any character in this film. Are you kidding?
Are you kidding me? The Lord of the Rings is the will they won't they fuck at the end.
Oh my God.
Sam and Frodo. I'm sorry. If you want to watch the good Lord of the Rings, watch the animated ones.
I smell a Thunderdome.
Yes.
And I don't like Willow. I mean, I don't hate it,
God.
you know.
Uh,
So
No,
it doesn't mean
I-
the opposite of the other, right?
But like
I
I said,
remember having to sit down and try to watch this so
do
that I could
you know
watch
what the only good thing about Lord of the Rings was the Vigo guy, whatever his, Morrison, his character.
Everybody loves Vigo,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, I could care less about Sam or Frodo. Sorry, and you could say,
Sam,
you could say
Frodo.
that Will is Frodo in this movie, and that's basically what it is. It's exciting. This is a more fantasy based. It's not doesn't have the laughs just like like the Princess Bride did, but it's got the same heartfelt meaning, story for it.
It has more of a, and I hate to say this because it is fantasy and the characters themselves are not necessarily human, all of them. It's got more of a human connection to it. As Lord of the Rings, you have to understand it's got a strong Christian influence, and for some people that's a turnoff. Man, that it's very boring as compared to other types of fantasy literature that's out there. That's just, it's inarguable that was the whole thing behind Tolkien and why he constructed it. So I'm not saying it wasn't done well or in depth, but at the end of the day, you got to feel something, right? I mean,
Jim Sword saying is like my favorite part about Willow is the fact it was a shorter, boring version of Lord of the Rings.
damn it, Jim! What a way to consolidate our 5 minutes of arguing and banter back and forth. I love it.
I love fantasy movies, like especially 80s and stuff. The production is how they
I
is.
miss them though.
It wasn't overall.
Whatever you do, don't watch that crap that was on Netflix recently that's got 11 in it too, where she's have this really bad, horrible accent. There are many tales out there of brave men who would save women. This is not one of them. And she gets thrown down because she's the dumbest person on the planet. And the effects look good, although they look very horribly CGI'd like Lord of the Rings. But it's like that's what we're reduced to with fantasy. So by Willow, I apologize because I shit on you more than I probably should have because
I'd say
she's
Willow's
really took a dark turn over the years.
for me. Willow's in the same camp as Dragon Slayer, as far as early 80s fantasy. So.
Ooh, I like Dragon Slayer better though.
I know, sure,
Yeah.
for certain reasons. But I said Of course, during our review, Pixel pulled up. Well, it's Hawk the Slayer is better. Hawk the Slayer was meant to be camp. They're two different genres.
Oh man, the
But I
blood
would say
flow.
I would say that Hawk the Slayer is a little more enjoyable than Willow because it's more camp, but it's also more enjoyable than Lord of the Rings too.
Well, what's our next film?
Our next film, well, it's a movie that Pixel and I watched together, and he fell asleep towards the very end of it. But Marani joined us for this journey, and there was a lot of walking in this movie too. And it is a canon classic, sir.
This is a canon classic.
And
I will say this again to kind of reiterate for the dozens and dozens that are watching and will be listening to this. These are not the 10 best films of '88 or the worst, or
No.
we give them some grading scale. What we do is we pick a bunch of films that immediately come to mind and we say, out of this group, let's talk about 10 of them significantly, and the other 10 will be runner-ups. And so, like someone young like Professor Publix may have only seen 8 films, let's say, this year, and so
Yeah.
and excuse it. I will clearly state for the record, even though this is a canon classic, and I'm embarrassed to say this is a film I have not seen because it was Puss in Boots. So I'm going to step back and let you guys talk this over.
Holy crap! It's part musical, part and majority walking. It is
Little musical, all walking.
I honestly,
It's hot out in this movie.
we were going through, and I came across this in the list, on American movies coming out, for this year, and I said to Pixel, like, Christopher Walken's in this, and it's on Tubi. He's like, and we just got done on, I believe it was this was Friday night.
I remember I came in from working at Publix, where shopping is a place.
It was a hard day.
It was a hard day, but I figured I'd check in, see how everybody was. Hopped in the channel and said, "Oh yeah, I have to go ahead and finish up my list," and I did. But he pointed out this film and Christopher Walken in Puss in Boots
In a musical.
and we didn't even realize it was a musical until we started the movie. Though it was a surprise. Where else are you going to watch a movie where you have to watch a cat and suddenly Christopher Walken will appear and say, "Get me a pair of boots"?
Well, yeah, and I gotta say, it is more closer to the grim fairy tales, as far as these are, and that's with canon. I was reading about the canon movies; they were more towards the Brothers Grimm.
Yeah,
they did not do the whole Disney stuff.
Exactly.
Nope. Like I said, there is a death in this movie, but it's not what you think it's gonna be. There's an ogre who looks like the villain from the Smurfs. He can change anything he wants. He's taken over this castle. The son, the youngest son of a woodsmith or millsmith,
Yeah,
basically comes across this kid. Puss is his father's cat. When his father dies, he's like, "I betrothed you the cat." He's like, "What the fuck I get the cat for?" And then the cat runs away, and then he's like, it's weird. Christopher Walken pops up. He's like, "Hey, give me some boots.
Give me some boots." Why did you give me Puss? I wanted a better name, but you decided on Puss.
Yeah,
so now
it is very camp in this. But there are some serious parts. Basically, he builds up his master, as he calls him, because it get his reputation by basically going to this kingdom, this other kingdom, and basically talking with the king, bringing gifts. Because here is from my master, the Lord of Carabas, But anyway, and the princess there eventually meets the main character, the millsmith.
Song about love and first sight. They see each other and they want each other, and so
and these people, like I said, it's a G movie. It's not meant to be like a really extravagant fighting movie. The only things that is really in here that's kind of dark is at the end with the ogre. He tricks the ogre into like, "Oh, Mr. Ogre," it's like, "Oh, you can turn all these big things, but you can't turn anything small. Where did it all go?" And turns him into a mouse. Puss turns back in the boot, eats the ogre, and basically like takes over the ogre's castle and gives it to the millsmith. And of course this convinces the king that this guy is worthy of his daughter's hand in marriage. The bad thing about this movie is that we learned that the ogre is so mean, was forcing the surrounding villagers to give him 100,000 bushels of this, 100 of this, like give all your finest horses and Arabian horses, and this kid basically, thanks to Puss, has the biggest con now. Now he is considered like the Prince of Carabas or whatever, of this fake, kingdom. And, and it is, I'm like, holy crap. So I'm kind of like, what happens down the road? Like, did the villagers storm the castle? Be like, where's the ogre? He's gone. Who's this guy? Like, obviously. But, the real thing that sells it is Christopher Walken, being very young, and kind of singing and dancing, and eventually, and every once in a while, acts like a cat. It is the most weirdest thing ever, but I can't look away from it. And Rob, you need to watch this. It is kind of. It's like,
I don't dislike a Christopher Walken performance, but the love for him is just I don't understand it. I don't get it. Other than it's cute the way he talks.
I hate the Milsman kid. He's such an idiot. But his character is supposed to be really shy. So even the princess kind of yells at him, makes him and tells him, "You need to basically quit being a wussy, and get your back bone," which eventually does,
Master, you get me boots, you'll never have to want for anything again.
Yeah, like I said, at least watch it once. I kind of want to watch the Snow White one because Diana Riggs plays the evil queen. And I heard that's supposed to be one of the most graphic things that happens to her at the end, and it's supposed to be one of the most darkest things of Snow White's. So I'm excited to look at some fairy tales that aren't, happy endings.
Thank you, Disney, for corrupting all the old folklore around the world and reducing it down to crap that nobody wants to watch. And honestly, that was kind of the attitude I had when I saw this, because I'm like, why do I want to see this crap? And Jason Connery, I think, is actually Sean Connery's son, too, which is kind of attractive in the sense like, oh, it's got a Connery connection. And I don't have a problem with Christopher Walken. He was a tap guy back in the early mid-70s before he killed Natalie Wood. Was there when that happened.
He tap dances, she drowned, okay?
Probably was thinking about it, too.
No. I don't know if the Sean Connery connection's there or not. I don't know if he is. But he's a decent actor, but he's still doing stage plays today, but he's not. He never became a big famous actor.
I would bet a chicken Publix hot tender sub that it is.
Yeah, maybe.
Anyway,
the girl's
pretty cute film, so you're right. I should see it.
Yes, and the girl's pretty cute doing this too. I like her. Alrighty, going on to our next movie, which let me see here. That's right on top 10. That's right. Our next movie came out in July 15th. And some days you just want to go out, laugh, have a few drinks, and it doesn't happen that way because you get stuck in a freaking elevator. 40 stories of sheer adventure. Nakatomi Plaza is on fire. I love that there's always like these fake news reports going on during Christmas. Dude, Bruce Willis, probably one of his best films. I like him in The Last Boy Scout. What was the one we watched? The Color Purple, or what was it? Was The Color Purple?
Sure.
Yeah. That was a good movie too. But I mean, like, this is the ultimate action movie. If you told me this was coming out and I've never seen it, and it takes place, and I'm already captured by the poster. I look at the explosion on top of there, high above the city of LA. A team of terrorists sees a building taken hostage, declared war. I'm like, who are they going to send in? Like, Steven Seagal? No, they're sending in Bruce Willis. I'm like, the guy from Moonlighting? Cool.
He'll charm their way into their hearts.
Yeah.
Put down your weapons.
One man has managed to escape, an off-duty cop from hiding somewhere inside. He's
a sick booger on you.
Yeah. Very, very over-the-top manly film. Just the fact that this guy, his character, has no shoes. So by the end of this, he has a serious staph infection from all the dirt and grime and the glass that was cut into his feet. Alan Ruck plays the bad guy. Great as Hans Gruber. You got guy who played Carl Winslow. Val Matters is in here. Is his friend, the one cop that actually wants to help him out, trusts him. Robert Davi just makes a random appearance as Agent Johnson, one of the nitwit what you kind of call FBI guys. We're going to take over the case. And like, no, you idiots. and I just love it because like he's Roy Rogers. That's his hand sign. It calls on, and he's trying to convince I'm at New York and the L.A. cops, just like you watched in Beverly Hills Cop, 1. They're complete buffoons. It takes someone from someone outside of their police district basically get shit done. And to me, this sounds like the perfect action film movie. I'm glad that it worked out with Bruce Willis because when I see this movie, it's like it takes place in a skyscraper.
Yep.
There isn't much where place to go in a skyscraper if there's a gunfight.
There's nowhere to go.
The only
but down.
listen,
And if it's on fire too, on top of that, that's another story too.
I only have one bad thing to say about this movie, in that
You watch it?
it is the movie to inspire the horrendous rock film Skyscraper.
I thought that was based off the Nicole Smith movie, Skyscraper.
Oh God, guys, come on.
No, this is a fantastic action film. It might be one of my favorites, just because.
And it has the computer guy, in here. He's like, we saw in Extreme Extreme Justice as well as Extreme Prejudice. And he's basically hacking away at the computer stuff down there, and he's like, this like stupid, this super genius. Like I said, I love that there's little character roles in here too, and it's a diverse cast of villains.
I'll point out that it reminded me a little bit of the fact that we reviewed season 1 of Mission Impossible here on Xtreme TV, and they have a team of people that it was basically 4 people, and there's a combination of some people weren't in some episodes and all that, and it really was basically 1 or 2 people who stole the show, but you had your different people that were subject matter area experts. And then here, when I see the computer guy, I go, yeah, I guess that's exactly how it has to be. Where I prefer more solidary type movies like this, whether it's like Thief with James Caan, or I keep waiting for the remake of Pierce Brosnan's Thomas Crown Affair, or the Topiaki one, or whatever it's called there too. He's always talked about making. Of course, the original was Steve McQueen's the best, but those kinds of things. Ocean's 11 kind of was cool with everybody because it had a lot of superstars in there too, and it was a little unbelievable. But everyone likes the idea of ripping off Vegas. But there's just seems to be an added element of when it's better when it's somebody solo. So Bruce Willis by himself here doesn't need anybody. That makes it cool. Didn't really need the computer guy and all that. I understand that they're there and they had to be characters in it too. But yeah, we covered this in our Thunderdome.
I love the fact that I said one of the other things too. He said the fact that he's got no shoes on, his feet already he's already hurting as is. He has to like try and get a hold of the cops. He goes onto their frequency. Just in the walkie-talkie.
One of the last cops in a movie, to your point, RDV, where cops generally look like buffoons. He's not, because he's an individual. He's not a cop per se, like you think of him working like one, for the county.
He's a New Yorker. They don't deal with the shit.
He's somebody who honestly he was just trying to finish up, get home, because it is Christmas. It is our that time of year.
Yes.
But he's been really off the job as a detective because he can't shoot. He can't shoot a gun because he's kind of traumatized. But by the end of the movie, he's able to do it again, and that it's the little things that add up. And from the performance from Alan Rickman,
overrated.
It's really good.
It's there.
I'm
telling you, like I mentioned before, the song from Stranger Things, like Beetlejuice. This is what aggravates me about the '80s, and I've brought this theme up since the early '80s, as we've talked every year. Is that not only the movie's gotten safer, more family friendly, and just boring, generally speaking. I'm not saying that's bad if you like those kinds of things, but I am telling you, there is no way people came out and went, "Oh my God, the bad guy, Alan Rickman." No, he was just a guy doing a role at the time. I'm telling you, it's just. That's how it is. People talk more about Charles Vance's character in the Schwarzenegger film a few years later from here because of the character he was.
Okay, guys. So I want to disagree because Hans Gruber is known by a lot of people. He's a popular villain. It's not Christmas till he falls down off the Nakatomi Plaza.
Exactly. Till he's made a joke of in the Twitter area, about 15 years ago. That's the only reason why he became popular as that. Kind of.
Okay, I'm talking about myself. I've seen the movie.
I'm just saying. I'm giving a historical context, sir.
You're saying for other people, but I'm telling you that I think he does a good job. I love the whole scene that when he goes down and he's acting like, "Oh, I'm an innocent victim here. Don't shoot." and he's doing that act with Bruce Willis, and Bruce has to piece it together. It's great. It's absolutely great. I think his performance in it is really solid.
Especially that scene when he and Bruce gives like, "Here's his gun." Here, you're like, "No, you don't use gun." Oh, sure, but he makes sure there's no clip in it. He doesn't trust him. Even to the end, he's a smarmy little little prick, and you just cheer when he falls, because up to this point, everyone would have had a happy Christmas, even the guy who owns the building, you know. But this guy had to come in because he wanted to steal some stuff and then leave. So he gets his just desserts. And there's only so many movies you can watch where the bad guy falls from a building. And I believe the other one I forgot what we got was what was that movie we watched?
Sharky's Machine.
Sharky's Machine, yes. So or it actually looks good, you know.
Well, one of the best ones is the Judge Dredd, the reboot they did with Carl Urban, where. That was great. It was horrifying. Oh man, I loved it. Oh.
All right. Going on to our next film.
How many do we have left?
We only have after this one. We have two more after this. The next one.
So we're in our top 3 for 1988. Okay.
Yes. Don't worry, I saved the best for last. All right.
That was the song in the 80s, by the way.
I know. Nobody does it better. Okay. All right. Going on to August 19th. I said it's another movie that Pix needs to watch at least once. I'm a big fan of westerns. You know, you could say this isn't really a western compared to John Wayne and some of the early ones. You know, or Who Shot Liberty Vance. But I thought they did really well, and this to me proved to me that Emilio Estevez should be in more movies. Obviously, it's you got Emilio, you got Kiefer Sutherland, Lieutenant Phillips, Charlie Sheen. The other two kind of just fell off the wayside in the 80s. I don't. They might have been doing things, but you didn't really recognize them. They're not big names. The first four, and at the time when I watched this back in the 90s, I didn't realize that Charlie Sheen and Emilio Estevez were actually brothers, because they really don't look alike. You know, you could see some similarities, but not a lot. But anyway, Emilio Estevez plays Billy the Kid, which really was really cool. I love Billy the Kid. You know, when I want a fiction, it could be the worst movie. There's even a TV series. I think it's on Tubi or something like that. You know, and I just love the whole thing. Is like, you know, and especially in this, they really sell Billy the Kid in this. You know, and it's like, you know, he may not know how to read and write. He's given a chance by I forgot who the main guy is, or the guy who hires him. Is it Terry Quinn?
I don't know.
But Terry O'Quinn's in this, so Pixel, you know he is. He's the alien tracker.
He's Frank's black counterpart.
Right. It's Lost from Lost.
Right.
Yeah, Jack Palance is the old man who hires him, I believe, and to protect his farm from these, because these guys want to basically take his land. And he hires them. He gives them all basically teaches them how to read and write. And Bill the Kid, you know, is the last character that basically joined, and he teaches them how to. He's like, no one never taught you how to read and write. It's like no one never really gave a shit about me. Grew up on the streets, and basically they become the regulators. And I just love it because, like, you know, Bill the Kid is famous because like I won't shoot first, but you know, basically, you know, that song, "Shot Down in a Blaze of Glory" by Bon Jovi comes from this. Like I said, it's a very campy, but also I'd say a respectable western.
I'm going to second what Marania's saying, because this movie is popular because of the people in it, not because of the story of what they did. And I'm not saying it was bad, because at the time, super popular, and there was definitely enough here in Central Florida, here in Orlando, Florida. You've got Church Street Station, which is a big old way station that would drop off on trains and stuff and buildings and stuff. You had a lot of people walk around in dusters and all that. Yeah, I mean, it's a lot, like you said, RDV, a lot of actors in here, Jack Palance. I mean, it's got some heft behind it. It just, when I watch it though, I just go, this isn't a western. I mean, and we all have our different takes on westerns, like sci-fi.
80s westerns.
Exactly. That's a great. And it's not a bad film, but it's an 80s western.
Like I said, I Steel Horse I Ride, Wanted, Dead or Alive.
God, I can't stand John Jovi. Oh, they were so pop. Oh,
yeah, but he's got some good songs though.
Well, no, but the thing is Bon Jovi, pulled in a
Cool.
certain group, and that this song was a huge hit for it, and this was one of those ones that had a little bit of staying power. People liked it, and they had fun with it, and they enjoyed it. And you know what? Here's the thing: we've already mentioned this too. Already, when we talked about a few westerns and stuff over the '80s, you don't see much of them at this point because the tastes have changed. A lot of people aren't going up on farms anymore. They want more middle class type films and other things. So here, if it's a lighthearted way to introduce people to even the concept of what a western should be or could be,
Yeah.
that's not necessarily a bad thing.
Yeah.
I mean, but there's a lot of people like this film. It's not a bad film at all. But it's an '80s western. I think that's a great description of it.
Kiefer Sutherland plays Doc, but he's not Doc Holliday. He's just called Doc, which always confused me as a kid growing up. I was like, wait, he's not Doc Holliday? Why he's called Doc? It's just so strange in a western movie because you have Wyatt Earp in here. I mean, sorry, not Wyatt Earp, but you have Pat Garrett shows up, in this. So who's friends with Wyatt Earp? And I was just like, they're kind of like going into this, but they're also making their own movie, which I can respect, kind of mixing it. But anyway, our next movie is a movie that was on Pixel's top 5. I've seen it at least a couple times when I was a kid. It is, and Moran, you should like this one. It came on November 18th. It is the first movie where a major character dies in it, and that was actually, you could say that Transformers, Optimus Prime dying was it's so sad. Littlefoot's mother here just dies, and he's like, "Mom, wake up! Screw you, Simba! Land Before Time" is what I had, and it's a Don Bluth film.
There is something really just special about Land Before Time. It captures. I don't think I was here the week we y'all talked about American Tail, or maybe already we did.
I don't think it was even on the top.
It wasn't even in the runner-ups, really, because it's one of those special films that it has that magical classic Disney feeling, but it's not Disney, and you can recognize that in certain ways. But this spawned off a whole series of movies that, as a kid, this was really special.
There is also some tragic news that came with this. Apart from the movie, one of the actors, the child actor.
Oh yeah, no, don't. Let's not
Clucky.
Talk about Clucky. Let's not talk about Clucky.
Clucky is the most adorable character in this. Little girl, saddening her bastard father, ended up murdering the Christmas.
So let's not talk about it.
It has to be said because that really impacts the movie even more. After watching this, and you're like, "Oh, I love Pucky so much," and it's like, "No!" it's like the Darth Vader yelling, "This guy." No. It is like I said. You have Littlefoot. He's kind of like the main hero. He's the brontosaurus in the middle there, and then you have the jerk girl who's a triceratops that she knows everything, and you got Spike, who's kind of I'm slow, friend, and then you got the
also a special story of friendship.
Yes, they're very diverse cast.
It's better than Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
But no, this is a really great film. If you ever get that, if you ever want to feel like a kid,
if you want to make your kids suffer, make them watch Neverending Story and then make them watch this. I mean, the suffer is like they're gonna cry. Like, why did you make me watch this, Dad?
Because you need it.
I remember watching this and I started bawling too. I was like, "Are you freaking kidding me? They killed his mother!" And of course, I watched this when I was 7. So I was like, I still remember this. And
anything that's got Don Bluth's name on it to me is like a must watch. And I honestly, I know he's got a long history with Disney.
Yeah, George Lucas, Kath Kennedy.
Yeah, I'm not a Disney guy, especially since the late '80s when things dramatically changed. But everything that we're talking about that was wholesome, that had an element of a story to it, even if it was somewhat innocent by TV standards in the 50s, 60s, and 70s, the stuff that Walt Disney himself, Senior, would be appreciative of, or at least pretended to portray, that he was for. Don Bluth, I think, was able to do it because it is rare. Again, an animated film that you really care about the characters, and I've always kind of half blasted a little bit the whole idea of superheroes and all this stuff because they're not human, they're not like you, they don't act the same way, but we think they do, and we're conditioned, especially in the past 20 years with all these films, to think that. But you go back to a lot of the hand-drawn stuff and attention to detail and everything else that goes into it. I think it's just there's something more to something that has that kind of effort put into it, especially by like a Don Bluth, a guy that's just a master in it, that makes it just a little bit better, not in terms of quality, but I just think there's more of a sincereness in a film that where that effort's put into it, where we can say, hey, let's be Lord of the Rings, have some lines that, you know, are from the book and put them in there, and then just CGI the rest. You know,
I remember it was about 12 years ago or 15 years ago, Disney made their own version of this. Yeah.
I don't recall it.
It's called Dinosaur, I think it was.
That is not the same thing at all. You can't just say a movie has a dinosaur and it's the same.
No, I know. No, I watched it and it was like, wow, it's like Land Before Time without the actual good parts.
Yeah,
it just shows though that
if it was bad.
It just shows though with special effects and even computer graphics starting to come quite a little bit, that if you got good writing, even if it's something animated, whether you call it G-rated by today's standards or whatever, somebody that, you know, again, Lucas, Spielberg, Don Bluth, people are going to, it's printing money already before you've even seen it. Now everything that's coming out, people are questioning because they've screwed it. And Disney's certainly not the first company to do it, but they're one of the older ones that have gone through and just savaged their back catalog and made it totally unrecognizable. And the idea is that, well, it doesn't matter the old people that have money, we just want to hook the new generation on it in its own way, so let's re-image it to that, rather than just saying, hey, maybe we just, you know, say the exact same thing and put it in today's terms. They can't do that. They have to be messaging and all that kind of stuff, and they're ruining it. But I'm telling you, like I said, Don Bluth's name on it and everything else, you can't go wrong with it. I mean, this is not a film I'm sitting there saying, oh man, I want to watch it, but it is a good film.
James Horner does the music of it too.
Yeah.
They should have
Titanic,
gone,
I believe.
At MegaCon, Don Bluth was actually here. He had a panel. I didn't get to make it to it though.
See, this is also a Universal picture.
Yes.
Nice.
Alrighty. Our last one of the night is one that well, we couldn't leave this one off the list. It deserved to be in the top 10. And it came out December 14th, and let's just say that it is downright dirty.
Yes.
Rotten. Steve Martin at his finest. If you like him in The Jerk, you're gonna like him in this. And it's a Frank Oz film.
Yep.
Holy crap! I'm like, freaking Muppets.
Yes. Pixel, have you seen this?
No.
We can't say too much about it, other than it's about con games with people, and I think the one was of RDV, the south of France. And so Steve Martin, as RDV pointed out, at his finest, he's so great in here too. I'd rather watch him in something like this than like Roxanne or whatever. You forget how good Michael Caine is, or if you don't know Michael Caine other than he's some old British guy, because depending on what you see, he caters to a more older audience. But Michael Caine is a sophisticated con man, wooing women out of their funds, where Steve Martin is like the American guy who's very visible in this and that. So they kind of have this contest in a way, because it's a territorial thing, right? Steve Martin's inadvertently moving on Michael Caine's territory, and Caine tries to get rid of him. Then they come to an arrangement between them that, okay, I will train you, I will show you how to do it, but then you leave. So Michael Caine is the age of wisdom and experience behind him, trying to get. Yeah, exactly. And Steve Martin is the Tom Cruise. Exactly, right? And so it's these two trying to outwit each other by saying, okay, let's decide on a woman. Let's, you know, whatever the prize was, $5,000, whatever the score was out of her as a mark would be the winner, and the other one would leave. And it is just absolutely tremendous, and it's a gorgeous looking film. If you've never been to the south of France, honestly, and forget what's going on in the world of politics, it's just damn beautiful country. Monaco, Monte Carlo, all that whole area. I mean, all of it. And here you see it. That's the location of it. This stuff happens. This is a really, really great film.
Why is Barbara Harris sound familiar? Do you recognize the name? Because she's in this movie.
If I saw a picture, perhaps.
Freaky Friday. She was the mom, I believe, in Freaky. No, she was the daughter. Freaky Friday, I believe.
Maybe.
You said Barbara Harris?
Either the mom or the daughter. She's one of the two in there.
Cary Grant's wife, Barbara Harris?
Yep.
Ha-cha-cha.
Yes. I believe she's the mark, or one of the marks.
Yeah, it's It's a movie that's best watched if you don't know too much about it. Just know you're in for some great performances. I always like movies that talk about classes, like we talk about Rocky, low class, just trying to survive. Here, this is high class. How do you survive here? What do rich people do? Because other than James Bond and the Playboy fantasy, here you get a chance on what it's like to be in the south of France where the rich people play, the elites of the elites, and how do they do it? And there's nothing political about this, just good old solid human nature. And let me just say, it has the most appropriate ending here when we find out who the winner is, because you do. It's not ambiguous at all. I think it's great. Pixel, you would benefit tremendously by, again, not reading this. And out of all the movies on our list tonight, including the runner-ups, this would probably be on the short list. I think that you would have to see. It's that good and that fun of a movie. I mean, RDV, I don't know if you've got anything else to say, but it's tremendous.
Oh,
I do have to correct myself. It's not that Barbara Harris. It's a different Barbara Harris.
It's the 1976 film she started in Freaky Friday. It was that one.
Yeah, the older one.
Yeah. And no, two guys competing for the girl's hand, for the girl in this. It's just they just would not.
Thunderdome.
Yeah. Let's just say there's a scene of the fork in this with Steve Martin. Like I said, it's a fun movie. It's enjoyable, and it's like I said, I'm not usually a Michael Caine fan. Listen to me. Listen, Michael Caine. What is he known for?
Blame It on Rio. If you're young,
no. Currently,
Jaws 4.
Not what he was before. Currently now known for Muppets Christmas Carol, or he's the butler in the Nolan movies. He's Alfred. That's
Alfred. He was also the main antagonist for that.
He was the original Get Carter.
Yeah.
That came out a few years ago. What was it? Now You See Me.
Like I said, as I said, like it just feels like those two movies I mentioned kind of just drown out all his other performances.
Because he is the kind of actor that stands out as an actor. Like
because he's a better actor than the main guy in Batman Begins. I can't remember what his name is. That's
Christian Bale.
Thank you. See, there's been too many Batmans lately.
Michael Caine, obviously, he's up in his years. I don't know how active he is these days. He's got a great catalog. As cute as he is in there, he was a bastard in Get Carter, which, of course, I admit, I love the Stallone remake, and people shit on it. I'm not saying it's a great film, but Michael Caine could play a lot. He is that. There's just some things as an actor you can't do. He can't be Batman. But damn it, he can do like 90% of everything else there, right?
He also wasn't afraid to put on women's clothing and go kill people.
Dress to kill, right?
Yes.
We love that too. I mean, he's tremendous.
Yeah, I have not seen Secondhand Lions, but I heard that that's a popular movie. But like I said, Michael Caine, man, was like I really don't remember, for him. And there's a few movies from the 80s. Obviously, we went over the other one, Blame It on Rio, and Dirty Rotten Scoundrels. Like I said, he probably was in more stuff in the 70s, but
oh yeah, he's been around. He's in a lot more than you think, and you're like, he's.
But even then, who do you get the match star par with Steve Martin, who was just blowing up fast in the 80s, and Michael Caine is a perfect complement. You said he's the Paul Newman to the Tom Cruise.
It's a nice comparison. I never thought of that until now, but it makes sense. And for Steve Martin, a comic that got into acting, you need to have a heavy guy that's great at acting to kind of balance that out. And you definitely found one of Michael Caine. I don't know how the casting for this got involved, but they have so much chemistry together in this movie. It's a lot of fun watching it. I'm not one for goofy hijinks kind of movies necessarily. This one is an exception. It is that good of a movie. It's one of the few times we've had a top 10 list I've said, yeah, I agree that this is probably the best film of the whole year. And it just happens to have been the last movie that came out during the year. It is so fun.
Michael Caine is my James Mason.
At least Michael Caine smiles. Michael Caine, though, I don't know. Could he be in Salem's Lot? I don't think so, my good boy. All right.
But like I said, I guess he does stand out a lot in those two movies I mentioned, though. And they are more recent. The Christmas Carol, Muppets Christmas Carol. Anybody who's seen it, he's the main star. He's awesome.
Now you have me started on this. Muppets Christmas Carol, the reason why it is so spectacular is
It's not the Muppets.
Muppets being the Muppets. He is giving his all as Scrooge. He's serious
Yeah.
and grounded, and you can feel it in every single line. And he's dealing with puppets, and it's fantastic. It's magical. Okay, but that's the last of it because that's going to be a future.
Yes. Sorry, Michael Caine cannot be Black Panther. It's Robert Downey Jr. is going to be playing Black Panther. So,
You'll be playing.
All right.
You're playing another dude.
all right. All right. If you saw anything on our list tonight, that you didn't agree with, or you thought maybe should have been on the list, either runner-ups or even top 10s, let us know down below. The dang drill. Give us the likes, and do all the good stuff like that.
Subscribe.
Share the channel. We have it up on the banner. Our times are listed when we go live. So if you're able to catch us live too, we thank you for people who are showing up in the replay. Ash, it is great to see you in the chat again.
We're glad you exist.
Yes.
Do you have a channel?
Thursday,
Do you have a new
we're
joke?
going to be dropping since we just finished A View to a Kill with Roger Moore, his last James Bond film. Offline tonight, Professor Hicks and I recorded our rankings of the entire, not James Bond films, but Roger Moore Bond films from our worst to first as we have it. So it's pretty interesting because there's definitely some striking opinions about which ones we think are good versus bad on there. And yes, Moonraker is not my number one film. I'll just say that for all you Moonraker
I'll
marks
say
like
that
myself.
too.
Yeah. Anything else, RDV?
It's your number 0.
Where are you? Why do you hide? Anyway, on that note, guys, thanks for watching, listening. Appreciate you guys spending time with us again. Seriously, it's the best thing that we can do. That shows that you really care. Introducing other people to us, that's fine. I've mentioned it before, an RDV, I keep forgetting to add this when we sign off, that if you guys trust somebody that has a channel and would like us to come over to cross promote or have them come over here, please let us know. Drop us a message, Professor Pixel, RDV, or myself. We've been looking at ways to try to get more feedback on the channel, get more people involved. We have a great core here. We've been here 5 years. We're not going anywhere except up, and so we're trying to re-image the way we do some things. So we want to revisit the 80s, and as we finish this up, we'll take a look at what we're doing. So Thursday we'll see the James Bond drop. Anything else, RDV?
Nope. You know the drills. Subscribe, but also go back and watch a lot of older stuff. There's a lot of cool stuff. There's a lot of movies you probably needed to see because if you first subscribe now, so check those stuff out.
Have a good night. Stay extreme. Good night now.
This has not been a Dan Curtis production.
Just end it.